Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk about my little trip up to Scotland and then worming my way back down to London. And I've been setting a mission for myself with this trip, which is to pump out as many of these videos as possible. This is my 32nd one that I'm recording, right, in the space of about 6 days. So I average that about 8 a day. But one day I didn't actually manage to record any because my morale was so low that I thought if I record them, it's just going to be negative, and I don't really want to be spreading negativity. So let's realistically make it about 10 a day. And got me thinking, how much quality do you lose by pumping out as much as possible, right? Because people like to say, you know, quality over quantity and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm generally of the opposite sort of approach, which I think quantity over quality. Do a lot of stuff and you can still make it good because you get into a rhythm and a routine of it, right? So I've made now 32, this is my 32nd one, in the space of about 5-6 days. And I feel like the quality of them has maybe dipped in certain parts. Certain ones aren't as great as others, but I do feel like I've made about maybe 20 really, really good ones, and maybe like 5-6 average ones, and like 3 or 4 kind of bad ones, and then a couple others that I can't really think about because I've kind of forgotten what's even in them. I look back at some of them, I've been editing them at the moment, and I just have no idea about some of the ones. I've just completely forgotten I even made them, right? And it is good, in my opinion, to get a lot of stuff done, to pump out this kind of stuff. But it might seem cynical from your point of view that I'm sat here pumping out content, right? That I'm just doing it for likes or engagement or views or whatever. And obviously on a basic level, I am doing it for all of those reasons. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh, I'm doing it just for my own pure artistic freedom or whatever. No, there is certainly, you know, a commercial side to all of this, right? But at the end of the day, it was a little challenge I set for myself, which was I wanted to make as many as possible. I set myself the challenge of doing 23 whilst I was in Edinburgh, which was for 3 days. I managed to get about 10 done in Edinburgh, so I've kind of been going overdrive on the second leg of this trip. So we went to Edinburgh and we stayed there for 3 days, and I slept on a floor, and then we worked our way back down. We spent one night in Bradford and then one day in Alfreton, and then today we're going home, right? So this is day 3 of the second leg, and in this sort of second leg, I've shot about 21, 22 of these videos, and of which only 2 of them are completely like rubbish, and they're probably going to stay on like members only or something like that. I'm not actually going to release them proper because I don't think it's fair to use to just release actual garbage. But I do think though that the amount that I have pumped out means that I have gotten an overall more quality than if I had just done, say, 1 video a day, or maybe like 1 video whenever I decided I could be asked to do it, right? Because I was doing 1 video every 2 days for the past few months, right? And I don't feel like the quality really like went up particularly. I feel like the quality stayed more or less the same. And I think that's because of this quantity over quality mindset that I have. I don't actually think that if you do less of something, you're going to get better at it, that you're going to be better at it, because I think that if you do more stuff, that's what's going to make you better. I think that if you do more things, then you're going to have a better time of it, right? Because you're going to have more experience, right? Having done now about 350, 400 of these videos, I now know what kind of topics work, what kind of topics don't, what kind of topics are those trick ones where it makes you think that you've got an awful lot to talk about, but you don't actually have that much to talk about. And having learned all these lessons, I'm able to make these videos more efficiently and do more interesting things with the backgrounds. And I feel like I'm sort of coming into my own with it, compared to when I was doing the same amount of videos, say like last year, but I didn't have the experience that I have now, and I was sort of more awkward on camera and that kind of thing. I think that the videos have now gotten better because I've started releasing them more frequently and making them more frequently. And when I say certain videos are tricks, like certain ideas for videos are kind of trickstery, there's one idea that I've had for a while, which I want to do, but I just don't think I'm gonna have the thing to do it, because the idea is very simple. I would have an apple and an orange, and you know that general idea of like comparing apples to oranges? The title of the video would have been something like, they're both juicy fruits, right? And it would just be me holding an apple and an orange, right? And I would be talking about how the saying is kind of bollocks, but realistically, I sat down to think about it and I thought, there's not that much to say. Beyond me just like holding the 2 fruits up and going, this is a juicy fruit, right? and this is a juicy fruit, and they both have an exterior and an interior, and they're both round, right? Which one's which? This is the orange, this is the apple. What else is there to talk about other than the general idea that comparisons that don't necessarily make sense at first can be kind of legitimate because you're comparing specific things within that comparison to one another. Bam, I've done the whole video right there. And what was that, about 30 seconds? So there's not nearly as much to talk about in that idea as I originally thought. Like sometimes you go into a video and you think that there's going to be so much to talk about, and then you get 2 minutes in and you're left kind of stumped. And you realize that you don't actually have that much to talk about. And when you're pumping out content in this kind of way, it means that you kind of blast through those ideas. You just blast through the things that you think aren't going to be that good, and you get straight to the good stuff, right? Compared to getting yourself stuck on these ideas and sitting on them for ages and ages and ages trying to perfect them when they're not particularly good ideas anyway. I prefer to just let a good idea be done in a mediocre way rather than let a bad idea be done in a mediocre way, because a good idea done in a mediocre way isn't going to take very much time at all. But a good idea done in a fuck off. But a bad idea done in a mediocre way, that's going to take a long time because you need to polish it up, you know. They say you can't polish a turd, but you know, you can technically, and it can be shiny, right? But what will be a lot better is to dull a diamond. You can easily do that, just leave it in some water. If you want to polish a turd, you have to sit there with the polish again and again and again. You might have to put it in the oven and sort of dry it out so that you can actually polish it without getting your hands dirty. Whereas if you want to dull a diamond, all you have to do is just leave it in some salt water and it'll just sit there for 2 days. You don't actively have to do anything, compared to with the bad idea, you have to actively do something, right? And that's my opinion, at least. So I would rather lose a bit of the potential with a really good idea and do it in a mediocre way than go the other way around. Because at the end of the day, if I think that an idea is that good and that worth my time, I don't see why I can't just do it again in a slightly different context, in a new location, talking about it in a different light, right? When I've had more to think about and I've got new things to say regarding the matter. You can tackle the same subject in varying ways and come up with new solutions and new ideas each time. I mean, a lot of these videos probably could be boiled down to maybe like 12 videos if I really wanted to be quality over quantity about it, but I've gone for like the 350 video approach, because at the end of the day, each video has a little thing within it that is worth finding, you know, a little nugget of something, whether it's for me or for you. I mean, I can come back to these videos as a bit of a time capsule and sort of go, oh yeah, I forgot that I sort of talked about that. Oh yeah, that's what I kind of thought about that. Oh yeah. These videos are a very good way to process my own brain. And this is why I recommend that everyone out there that's watching this give this format a go, because it's so easy. All you need to do is you get yourself a lav mic and you can hook it up to your phone. And this whole setup costs maybe 50 quid, right? And then you just get some basic camera, whatever the camera is, as long as it can do it to an SD card, right? It doesn't matter what the camera is, you record yourself talking in one take, and then you put it on a laptop, get all the footage into a free video editor like DaVinci Resolve, for instance, and you just compile it together. And you can pump out a lot of these in one go. And with each one that you pump out, you come out with a different little topic and a little sort of something, a new opinion. Sometimes you come out with new good ideas. And sometimes you'll do a lot in one go, a lot of these videos in one sitting, and maybe the third or fourth one would be really, really good, right? But you would never have known that if you'd only bothered to do one at a time, right? And then, because the first video is rarely the best one, so usually it's the second, third or fourth one is the best one, right? And then maybe you'll do a fifth one and it's kind of diminishing returns and you kind of think, oh, okay, let's pack it in, let's go on, right? If you can do a lot with a little, then you can say a little in a lot, or the other way around. I think that kind of made it sound like I'm just putting no effort in. And I am putting effort in, you know, these videos take, like I've realized I've done about 5-6 hours worth of these videos just up here in on this trip, and then editing them. I know there's no edits in these videos, but there's the color grading and the audio editing that goes into it. I mean, it's windy right now. I've got to try and cut that down a little bit so it's not overbearing. There's a lot that goes into this. I mean, right now I'm in this, and it's like, can you see the bumps on my skin? It's raining all over the place. It's cold, you know. I'm coming out into these different, finding a different location every time. So there is effort that goes into them. But maybe it's not the same kind of effort that goes into other kinds of YouTube videos. I was talking to my mate Jeffro who he has a channel called Retrogen Media, and he does everything with scripts. He writes a script and then he records the script and he finds footage, and he does it all about film. So he's got to find a film and he's got to watch through all the film, and then he's got to watch a few of the films from the same director so that he understands what he's talking about. And sometimes it relates to like a real world issue, so he's got to research that issue. So there's research and sources, and then the whole script sometimes will work out to about 2,000-3,000 words. So he's got to write a fucking essay for every single video that he does, and then he's got to do the video editing, which is all in depth with like weird transitions and stuff. And he's got to export it and upload it and come up with a weird thumbnail every single time. That's a lot of effort, you know? And he uploads a video maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks or maybe once a month or something like that. It depends, right? And that's a very different process to my process, and my process is very different to, and both of our processes might be different to some other YouTuber that's out there, like my mate Benja, who makes videos sort of more in real life using notes and things like that. So he works off of notes rather than like script or completely improvise like what I do. So he uses notes to figure out what he's going to say. So he's kind of got the best of both worlds. And then he goes out a little bit, and then he also combines it with other footage, like archive footage that he's gotten. So he gets a bit of everything doing that. And so there's so many ways that you can go about making content. I hate that term, but I can't think of a better term to use. Scrunge. Let's call it scrunge. You're trying to get all the scrunge out of every sort of idea that's in your head, and then put it into something palatable for the audience to consume, right? Because this is all consumable scrunge, right? And if you can make a lot of scrunge, you can get better at doing it, and the better you get at doing it, then the more stuff you can do, and you get yourself into a flow state, and the better the flow state you get yourself into, then the more stuff you can do. This is why I feel like I don't mind the idea that I'm pumping out content, because at the end of the day, I'm making more good stuff doing this than if I was to do one video a week and just have that one bit of inspiration and go out and do that one video, because I don't get into a flow state that way, and I wouldn't be able to make these videos in the same way, and each video would be kind of worse as a result of it. I feel like, for instance, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, they make like 2 albums every year. Not all of their albums are perfect, some of them are kind of shite. I don't like Butterfly 3000 very much, but for every one of those, they do like a Petrodragonic Apocalypse or Silver Chord or, you know, Changes. You know, they make loads of good albums, but they make loads of albums compared to, say, Tool, who made Fear Inoculum, and that's the only album they've made in the last 20 years, right? Which would you rather be? Would you rather make 20 albums and 5 bad albums, or would you rather make 1 mediocre album? Personally, I would rather make the 20 good albums. This is why I always talk about how quantity is more important than quality, because quality will come with quantity. Maybe this isn't my best video, but another one that I record, possibly today, will be one of my best videos, right? That's how it works. You make a lot of things, and some of them will turn out to be better than others. And it's not up to me to decide what the best ones are, it's up to you to decide what the best ones are. So please let me know in the comments below, what videos on this channel do you think are the best ones? And I'll respond with telling you if that was one that I put a lot of effort into or a little effort into. And I bet you'll be surprised. You'll say, oh, that one that you did blah, blah, blah about motivation or whatever was the best one that you've ever done. And I'll go, yeah, that was like the 4th one that I recorded in a session of 6, right? And I don't even remember recording it. It probably took me about 15 minutes to do, right? And comparatively, the ones that I put a lot of effort into aren't my best videos. So it really depends on what happens, because you can get super in your own head about it and overly perfect stuff. And when you do that, that means that you're your own worst enemy. You're working against yourself because you're constantly doubting yourself. And the more you doubt yourself, the less confident you actually be. And doing videos like this requires confidence. The confidence to sometimes say the wrong thing and to own that fact, right? I don't always say the right shit. Sometimes I spout complete bollocks, but that's kind of part and parcel of this format, right? And that's kind of part of the thing, right? Because for every bit of bollocks I say, I might say 3 or 4 different decent things. And for every 3 or 4 decent things I might say 2 or 3 really good things. And it's all about trying to get those good things. And the more bad things you do, the more good things you will do as a result of it, right? If you go back to some of your earliest works as a creative of some kind, obviously you're not nearly as good as you are now, but there'll be little nuggets of really good shit in there, right? It'll be really, really good stuff. And you won't even know about it because you've convinced yourself that all of that stuff was bad, right? But it wasn't, it was better than you think. So yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Go out there and make a lot of stuff, and don't worry about the idea of pumping out content, because it's only as cynical as you make it, right? Are you doing it purely for commercial intent, or do you have some artistic merit to everything that you're trying to do? I know for a fact that I have something to say with each video that I make, right? I never just make a video just for the sake of gaining views. I always have some idea that I want to convey to the audience. Even if I don't necessarily know exactly what that idea is fully fledged, I figure it out along the course of making the video, and that's kind of part of the gimmick of this channel. You can make a lot with a little. And that's all I wanted to say with this, really. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. Leave your comments below. What video of mine do you think is the best one? And I will tell you if it was one that I put a lot of effort into or not very much effort into at all. And I bet we'll find out that the ones I put very little effort into, I'll be very surprised by the ones that you say are the best ones, I think. And I'll probably think they're the ones I think are shit. And the ones that I think are really good won't get a mention. They won't get a look in. I think that's what's going to happen. I'm certain, in fact, that that's what's going to happen. So yeah, please let me know. And also let me know, what is the best thing that you've ever done? Was it the thing that you spent an awful lot of time doing, your big magnum opus project? Or was it that little thing, that little nugget of inspiration that you got and you immediately got it out of the way and then moved on with your life? Which one was better, the big thing or the small thing? Personally, I think the small things are generally always better. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and bye-bye.